On the morning of March 21st, 2025, we received a second community guidelines warning. This comes 2 weeks or 3 weeks after we received our first community guidelines warning for the short made from the video that we got the warning for on the 21st. This is because we mentioned...
So just to recap what went on here very quickly. Was it like a year, 2 years ago? When did we release the possum and the peanut thing? I think that was a pretty early...
like 2 years ago.
...video of our... Okay, so for context, right, we have a main channel. Is this going on the main channel? I assume so, right?
It is.
Okay, and then there's a second channel for like clips, right? In the main channel, there was the whole thing about writing a song about a possum and a peanut. Really cool. And the previous episode, we had joked, we're not really doing this, fellas, about writing the... We realized you could write the in jail. Isn't that funny, folks? Right?
It's
you
funny.
I think it's funny. Write letters to active criminals.
Yes.
So we made a brief... I think it was not even like... It was like 2 seconds in a song. You just say, my pen pal today.
Yes, and I include a picture of him.
Well, yeah, there's a picture of him, obviously, because it wouldn't be funny
and
if you just
by the way,
were writing random people named today.
It's like not even... It was like low... It's like the first picture on Google Images.
The strike... If you can see, it's for, I don't know where it said that specifically, I just remember reading it, said it was for like promoting terrorist organizations, correct?
Yes, it was, and I'm going to check right now. It's the same thing, yeah, same thing for both.
Okay, so I mean, it's clearly a terrorist. I mean, we can get nitpicky about the phrase organization or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know what about it is promoting it. I don't know. It just seems like they found the image of him and struck it. Because with context, it doesn't really make sense to strike it, right? To say my pen pal. I guess like in theory, you could extrapolate like, oh, if you're writing him, you support him. But clearly in the original piece of content, like that was never the intention. And I think that was pretty clear. Would you say?
I mean, well, it's really like a no shit. Like here's my thought. Here's my maybe skeptical thought. I think that the CEO of either YouTube or Google is terrified of the
I thought you were going to say of the Regurgitated podcast.
they're horrified of Ben Paquette is actually the case.
They're afraid it's going to get real popular real soon.
I think that, and as they should be. That's a scary thing to happen to somebody. You know.
Well, I guess my here's my point of contention with this. Well, I have two main things with it. And I think you're more upset about this than I am. For me, I kind of just go like, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, that sucks. I do think we need to find a better place.
Strike, it's not the warning. It's the video removal that pisses me off. Oh, that's what pisses me off.
We'll find some other place to host it down below in the description for the time this comes off. Just for
OnlyFans.
We'll figure something out about that. But whatever we decide to do, it'll be in the description so you can view whatever the context is for this, right? I'm a little worried now that you're tagging YouTube and everything that they're going to go take down the original piece of content on the main channel, which that would be...
If they do, we go to war. We get every podcaster under 50 views to fucking go at YouTube's throat.
Yeah, we go on a campaign. We go spam YouTube comments down below. Hey,
it's funny. It's funny.
Well, I mean, there's nothing about it that I feel like was actually promoting it. Like, I think like in the original episode, it was just, did you know you could write to people like that? Oh, that's crazy. What would you even say? And then, you know, to mention, oh, my pen pal in a song. I guess we're floating around this point. I'm going over and over and over myself. What I'm trying to say is, are you just not supposed to talk about like bad actors on YouTube, right? Like, what if you were like a news channel or like a true crime channel? Like, surely they would talk a lot more about the actual points of this person. In fact, I think I know for a fact that like his manifesto, right, the manifesto, is like oddly popular amongst like I was going to say extreme left, but honestly, I think both sides, like extremes, would probably take to a lot of what Reeks wrote about. But so, like, you're just not supposed to talk about that now. Like I would be willing to bet that we could find content that goes a lot deeper into, like, I don't want to say promoting, but content that I could argue promotes it a lot more than just saying like, oh, I wrote to him in jail, right? Yeah. And then secondly is the nature. I mean,
the thing is, let's just like asterisk that we didn't do that. We knew someone that did that. That was the piece. That was the whole reason this dude was brought up.
Well, I don't even think we knew someone that did that. We just knew someone that knew you could do that, and we were like, oh, that's funny.
Yeah, that might be the case. You might be right.
Yeah. Like you could write Charles Manson in jail, and I think that people did that. Like, he had a lot of like women writing him letters when he was incarcerated, and that's just a crazy thing that you're allowed to do. I mean, am I wrong for saying that? That like someone could like be an actual serial killer, and you can have all their rights taken away from them, They could be in like the most isolated environment in the planet, and you're still allowed to like write them a letter and have them like write you back. Like that's, I don't know, that's weird to me. But secondly, what I was going to say is the nature of how these warnings were issued, right? So like the first one coming through, I thought, well, surely this is like an automated thing, right? It saw the picture and it issued the warning. Well, then you go and you submit the appeal where an actual human has to like read your response, correct?
I don't know if the appeal does, but I asked for it to be manually reviewed 3 times and they said they did, so I'm not sure.
Okay, well, so yeah, I mean, put up the screenshot of YouTube saying that they did. Well, so like if an actual, like what did you write in terms of the appeal? Do we know what you wrote? Because I imagine like an actual explanation of it. Like it's weird for a human to reject that.
Okay.
And then
you want to go into this? Go ahead.
Yes, but just to wrap up my thought briefly. So to then on the same channel, like a month later, just about, give or take.
Yeah, I said 2 weeks. It's probably like a month.
Yeah, have another piece of content hit with the same thing. Feels like a person did that, especially when on the main channel content, right? How that has still yet to be untouched. Like, am I wrong for saying that feels like a person is doing that? Like a person was like looking through the content to find that instead of just like an automated system.
Ain't that weird?
Right?
Ain't that weird?
Because if it was automated, it would be like the exact, because it's literally like just a clip, right? Yeah. Which now I just shot myself in the foot. They're going to go take down everything else. But I don't know. The nature of that feels weird. And just in general, because I've seen other people have issues with like YouTube support on this as well too. So they give you like a reason, right? But it just says reason because you violated the violent criminal organizations policy. And then when you appeal it, I don't know what you asked specifically again, but usually when I do these things, I ask like, hey, is there like an explanation we can get for this? And even if you didn't ask for that in your message, it would still be useful for us to like, I don't know like what specifically about that they're determining is promoting it, right? A similar example that happened to us earlier was I made like a YouTube short, and I had briefly mentioned sticking your tongue to a frozen pole, kind of slyly referencing that movie. Why am I blank? A Christmas Story, right? Where Ralphie gets his tongue stuck to the pole. And I put that in the thing as like a reference, right? Like you're sticking your tongue to a frozen pole. And YouTube gave us a warning for that one too, saying that we were posting videos of harming children, which I get why they would say that, right? Like there's a kid screaming in it. Like I could see how a robot would think that. I know I appealed that one, and I'm pretty confident I wrote in there, just like I mentioned, hey, this is a clip from a movie. And I linked in the appeal a clip on YouTube of the same clip. And I was like, hey, this is like a clip from a movie. Can we keep this in? And then it also got rejected. So I do think even if you are going to like robot this issue, right? There should be just some kind of explanation as just to like how to avoid this again in the future, because it feels kind of cherry picked, you know?
I 100% agree, and they don't give a shit. The reason they don't give a shit about us is because we're small. But I wanted to drop some receipts, and I'm gonna have to cut around. I'm not small, by the way. No, I'm not small, but I wanted to drop some receipts real quick, and then
one's small, the other's larger.
My right now is much larger. You're right. So I made a tweet already. Talked about this, I think, in a podcast before, maybe not. But I made a tweet about it, and then YouTube ends up DMing me and saying this issue is best solved via email. So they asked me to go to a link, yada yada yada. And then they give me a case number for YouTube support. This is what YouTube support says. I understand that you are concerned about the community guidelines warning that you received. I know this is important to you, yada, yada, yada. And then they're like, yeah, it's not a big deal. It's just a warning. So I say, nothing. This is all I say. What is the offending material in this video? Hi there. To further explain this, your video was previously reviewed as part of our ongoing flagging system. Did not answer the question. And I said, thank you for clarifying that this is a warning and not a strike, but the video is still removed. What was the offending material in the video? Was it the mention of geeks? If that's the case, then I have numerous examples of other videos that should be flagged in the same way. They say, hi there, we appreciate your feedback. Please note that we can't respond to inquiries regarding the specific reasons for our decision. Okay. I say, how can we get the video reinstated? I don't believe that it is against guidelines. Hi there, we appreciate your response. It's a whole thing, but they basically were like, just deal with it.
I think maybe the reasoning for that decision, not us specifically, but to say, hey, we can't give you like a specific reason, as to why might not be, because like, I was thinking about this earlier today because I knew we were going to record this, and I was like, well, they have like not call center people, but they have like support people if they have people manually reviewing all this stuff, right? Like if they're saying that a person looked at it, clearly there's a team of people looking at every single YouTube appeal that happens somewhere in the world. And I was like, well, surely it wouldn't, like, if they're already doing that, I'm sure they're taking like notes and stuff like that. Cause I've worked in like a call center before, like a QA center before. Like, shouldn't be that difficult. But then the more, now that I'm thinking about it with this context, I think you are kind of opening up the cat's bag, so to speak, with like really nitpicking and like the interpretation of the rule, right? And that being compared to other decisions. And then on top of that too, to let potentially, I don't know if these people are in America or not. I could see it being like some Indonesian or Philippine center as well. But let's pretend for a moment that they are still people in the United States. Like, do you want... I don't know. I'm just imagining these people are not making a ton of money. They're not like the executives of YouTube, right? Like, do you want that, like, big YouTubers that kind of have pull with people? Do you want like a $14 an hour chat employee being responsible for YouTube's PR to like Logan Paul?
Right.
So I guess to play devil's advocate there a little bit, that makes sense. But it's still nonetheless, I feel like there should be some kind of system for being like, okay, I can see where you were kind of going with this, but I don't see how this violates policy like at all.
So listen to how this ends, because it's very funny. I say, I filed an appeal and it was rejected. Just wondering if I can have a video manually reviewed because it should be breaking zero guidelines. They say, thanks for writing back. The enforcement action on your team has already been appealed and reviewed, and a human review reevaluated your content and determined that it does violate the community guidelines. They said, so they did have a human... I said, I read over the policy and it does not violate it, yada, yada, yada. They say, I appreciate your swift response. I understand how you feel about this. And this is when I kind of gave up because they just gave me more bullshit. And then, no meme, they sent me let us know how YouTube support was with a survey. I don't want to fucking do a survey for this. Zero. Awful. They didn't do anything. They didn't say anything. They didn't give me any information that wasn't on my fucking YouTube studio. At all.
So to protest this decision, we're not going to upload anything to YouTube.
I'm done with it. We're going to Vimeo.
Yeah, we're going to get real popular off Rumble or Kick or whatever the kids use these days.
But I just wanted to come on here and talk about this because it's really irritating. It's not the strike. It's not the warning. It's the removal of the video that bothers me.
Well, now this opens up kind of another can of worms too, and I hesitate to go down this road because it's going to sound whiny. Like, I know that this content doesn't like do crazy numbers outside of this environment, right? But there's been a couple uploads that have happened on this channel since the strike came in. And like the last one, the impressions, I think it's like below 50, which like, I don't know. Like if it was at like 200 impressions, right? And it just didn't get views, I'd be like, okay, well, that was a sample size you gave it to. Because like, that's usually what it would get, 200 impressions, and then if it got a good amount of views, it would increase to like somewhere in the thousands, right? And that's not even saying views, the videos deserve more views, because like we've had plenty of uploads before where it got like 4 views and it ended. But typically when that happens, it's like a lot of impressions, and you can see not a lot of people clicked on the video. But as soon as these warnings came through, a lot of these, the 2 uploads that happened since then just are getting like nowhere. Yeah. And again, I'm not entitled to anything. I don't want to be too whiny about that.
It's just interesting that they coincide with one another.
Well, and I mean, again, I guess if I'm putting myself in YouTube's shoes, it's like you see a channel gets 2, community guidelines violations in a month, and it's like, well, probably don't promote them a whole lot. But it is just frustrating that it's like, well, we have no way around that. And again, I think the first point I said about like, are you just not supposed to talk about like true crime? Are you just not supposed to talk about like news events and like history, right? Because like this was not like we make a lot of jokes about doing horrible things. We're so funny,
yeah.
About doing horrible things, and I will own up to them. Go to the last video, and I don't know what the last video was when this gets uploaded, but go look at the last like actual podcast that was uploaded. Yeah. We say some pretty horrible things, but this wasn't one of them.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to be extra clear. Like, this is very, like, benign. And again, I don't know what we'll do to, like, host this content, but before it gets uploaded, we'll find some place to host it, and it'll be down in the description for you to make your own.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And to end this little bit, I wanted to.
Oh, we got to do the training.
I want to do the training. We want you to create and share your content confidently. In this training, you'll see scenarios related to policy you violated. You'll have unlimited attempts to get it right. A creator uploads a video of themselves reacting to the video of Al Qaeda's leader's speech.
This is us, Ben. We do this.
Al Qaeda is a government-designated terrorist organization.
Content.
The creator explains the context of the speech and how he finds the speech disturbing. No, if this is a violation, there is a problem on YouTube. Correct. Okay, good.
Okay.
Sammy is a vlogger who uploads a video of a hostage taking filmed by the perpetrator. Sammy explains who's in the footage and the events that happened leading up to it. She criticizes the perpetrators and demands the release of the hostages. That is not a violation. That shouldn't be. Okay. Aaron, my good boy Aaron, uploads a documentary he made that describes and condemns the atrocities committed by different terrorist groups. No. Jenna Marbles uploads a video montage of video game clips set in an ISIS-produced song.
Yeah. This is what we do.
This is what we do. This is why we got the violation.
According to YouTube, this is the equivalent of what we do.
That's so
According
funny.
to YouTube, the Possum and the Peanut song is just as bad as what that describes.
So stupid. Caleb uploads a video of a militia he is a part of. The video features clips of the group holding...
Caleb, buddy. I'm also a part of several militias. When was the last time you heard of someone involved in a militia?
Dude, fucking Caleb is.
You could say like a cult.
2 seconds
like that
ago.
Happens a lot.
Yeah, I don't know.
When was the last time you're like, oh yeah, my cousin of mine, he joined a militia?
Well,
was it the 1700s?
My cousin actually is Caleb. I'm cousins with Caleb. He isn't a militia, and he holds military-grade weapons and includes contact info on screen and says, get in touch if you want to kill them before they kill us. That's what we do! That's what we do.
I'll be honest with you, that was pretty close to the last episode of the Regurgitated podcast.
Isabella is completing a graduate thesis on government-designated terrorist organizations and creates a video showing footage and music of the produced by these groups. In the video, she explains the evolution of the groups and the role of music in helping them to gain followers, and she describes how the violent lyrics are harmful. This is a violation because elevated English is content produced by... No, this isn't a violation because this is not a violation. The fuck?
Yeah. So is the rule that you, like, the content, like... Okay, because a common theme I'm noticing from these questions right now is it seems like if you include elements from violent people in your video, you have to explain why it's wrong. Because, like, in theory, if you made a YouTube video for, like, a history class and you included content produced by some of these groups, but you weren't, like, you know... Like, you were making some kind of other point for, like, a history class. Like, you didn't explicitly say, like, and by the way, the Nazis were bad. Let's say, hypothetically, you were doing a report on, like, the history of Volkswagen for some reason, right? Because it started in Nazi Germany, let's say that you just explained the facts of that at the beginning of the video, but didn't explicitly say, and by the way, here's the rest of the history of World War II, and Hitler was a bad guy. Should be assumed. I'm not saying he wasn't. I'm saying it just should be assumed, right? Like, it seems like through all these examples, YouTube is saying you have to explicitly denounce this. Which, like, again, I'm not trying to say that, like, oh, so you're determining what's correct and what's not. I'm not trying to make that argument. I'm just trying to say that it's weird that they're saying you have to explicitly say that this is bad. Yeah. If you're going to include that content.
That and the fact that we were very ironically bringing it up because it's funny that you can send mail to a bad person. The whole thing is that he's a criminal. He's a bad person. Not that we want to send a mail because we love him.
Yeah, it's not funny that it's not funny because, you know, we just know a guy that we want to send mail to. It's funny because he's such a bad person. Yes. You know? Like, if we uploaded the song and we just said, my pen pal, who was a bad guy, by the way, and then the song continued.
Then we'd be fine. How we re-upload it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Who's a bad guy, by the way.
I don't know if you want to. That's another thing too. Is I have a bunch of content I want to upload, but I'm like, wow, if they get that, you know.
Yeah, that's the
we actually get a strike. So,
all right, last question. There's an election soon in Peter's country. Who's Peter? He uploads a video describing the election as a candidate, and he then states that anyone voting for the other candidate deserves violence. This is a violation because Peter is encouraging violence.
All right, now we need to go take another one.
I think it's the same exact questions. Oh, no, we don't.
It probably is, but we still need to take it, I think.
Do we need to... Training completed.
Oh, no. We're good.
All right.
Hey, YouTube. How's this for a terrorist organization?
Yeah, fuck you. Fuck you, YouTube, you piece of shit. But thank you so much for hosting our
really
videos.
Don't care that much.
Gigabytes and terabytes of videos. Thank you so much for that, YouTube. I appreciate that a lot. But I just want you to know that you fucking suck dick. And your support sucks dick. And nobody says anything that's transparency at all.
I actually lied this whole video. I love you.
Oh, yeah, me too. Wait, this video is actually all fake.